Okay. Yes. Thanks, Martin, for the nice first part. I have exchanged some messages with the people, and there are definitely interesting things. And for everyone here, I would like to say that today there are people on the meeting from different parts of Serbia, from Vojvodina north, from Belgrade, from central Serbia, and south of the country. Some of the people were prevented, say, for a simple reason of not being able to follow English at this level. But we will make sure that they also get the material and get informed about what we are doing here today. Okay. Yes, Martin, I think we can continue now. I think everybody is happy with that.
Wonderful. Does anybody have any specific questions yet before we continue?
Can I ask a question, because it's something that's come up in some systems. I'm not talking only about Serbia, but there is I think an ongoing dispute whether dyslexia is a disorder, defect, if you like, or if it is just a condition. Can you just elaborate on that for maybe a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two questions within that question. This is where it gets really interesting. Let's deal with the legal question first. There is a point at which dyslexia becomes legally, within European law, legally classified as a disability. And round about 3 to 4% of the population has got dyslexia to such a level that it's a disability. The reason it's called a disability is counted as, and this is the simplified legal definition of a disability, anything which affects your day-to-day living in a negative way on a long-term basis. So when we talked earlier about dyslexic people having different concepts of time or direction or organization, there are certain people. I mean, I worked with one person who couldn't get out of bed in the morning sometimes. And this is really interesting. She was a master's student at university. She was highly intelligent, but sometimes she couldn't get out of bed. The reason being, you know, when you sometimes walk into a room and you go, what do I do next? We all have those moments. Well, that was what she faced every day when she woke up. She didn't know what to do next after waking up, so she couldn't get out of bed. And in these cases, dyslexia can be classified as a disability. If, for instance, your dyslexia is so severe that you can't go shopping because you don't know how much money you're spending, or you get lost because your sense of direction is so poor, dyslexia can be classified as a disability. Most people with dyslexia are not like that. Most people with dyslexia do not have dyslexia as a disability. And the people that you're dealing with as teachers, they won't have dyslexia as a disability. So students, the kind of students that the SEND toolkit is aimed at, they won't be classified as disabled. They will be in mainstream classrooms. Do we classify it as a deficit or a deficiency or a disorder? Well, it's a disorder relative to the order that we create. So if we have certain aims, certain purposes, certain objectives that we want our students to fulfill, and we want them to fulfill them in particular ways, and dyslexic people can't do that, then we can choose to call the dyslexic people disordered, or we can say, well, actually, our classrooms aren't set up in the right way. And so from the vast majority of cases with dyslexia, calling it a disorder is a political decision, effectively. And it's a decision based on whether we look at people with dyslexia as not fitting into our world, or whether we want to fit, or we want to make our world diverse. Pavel, do you think that there is a change in the perception of dyslexia? By the way, you can hear my dyslexia when I read. I'm an articulate, hopefully relatively intelligent man, and when I read, you can hear, do you think that there is Do you think that there is a change in the perception of dyslexia due to the increasing use of electronic writing devices? Yes, absolutely. Assistive technology, electronic writing devices. And by the way, things like typing are invariably easier than handwriting for people with dyslexia. If a dyslexic person can learn to type, which is not always easy, but once that person has learned to type, a lot of the problems associated with writing disappear. E-readers, pen readers, all of these things. If you take Microsoft Word, when I'm on a website or when I'm reading Microsoft Word, I just make the page bigger, and it's easier for me, it's easier to read. So things like that, yes, absolutely. Technology and the dawn of the electronic world has made things an awful lot easier. And it means that as teachers, it's easy for us to negotiate with the students which fonts they prefer to receive their information in. And it also means that every time we want to send something out, we can say, well, all right, this child wants it in 14 points, this child doesn't want it in 14 points. So it's actually very easy to make accommodations for the children once we utilize the electronic world that we have at our fingertips. Also, of course, there's speech-to-text recognition. So computers can read out things that are written down, and conversely, as a student, I might not want to write, I might want to speak, and it'll come out on the page. So all of these things are really, really useful for people with dyslexia, and they get past a lot of the problems that we have.
Okay, thanks. I think because of the overall time plan, we now should move on. And if there are any other questions related to the first part, we can go back to them later.